Hey everybody, welcome to this shortwave radio channel, and this is the review of the XHDATA D808 portable shortwave radio. And this is a pretty nice package, very nice little radio. Really been enjoying it a lot. And I'm going to give you my own opinion of what I think after testing it for a few weeks now. And I gotta say, I really am very positive about this radio. It's a pretty good radio. Of course, it's not perfect like most radios, so we're going to talk about it. So what's first? Well, of course, keypad entry, very nice. We got the band selection, of course, the bandwidth selection. We've got memory channels. We've got up-down button for tuning. Of course, we can change the display. So lots of things we can do. One of the things I actually like a lot is the fact that you can actually turn on the light and leave it on, which is very nice. And of course, this is a very nice little radio to use. So long wave, medium wave, short wave, FM, and airband receiver. So you can listen to airplanes if you got in the airport near you. It's actually okay. It does, it does the job that it's supposed to do. It has single sideband, which is also very nice because there's a lot of signals out there that are actually in sideband mode. And it's a full coverage receiver, so it goes up to 29,999. If I enter the frequency here, 29,999. Here you go. We're actually tuned to 29,999 there. Very nice. There's several bandwidth selection, which is very cool. On this side, you've got the tuning knob that has a depress, a click where you can actually change the tuning speed, and we've got a fine tune for the SSB mode, single sideband. It also acts as a very slow tune for regular mode, for AM, for example. Here is a mini USB, micro USB port for charging. On the other side, antenna jack, a volume control, and the, of course, earphone jack with stereo FM through the earphones. And there's an included wire antenna with it that you can plug into the antenna here, which is very nice to have a little antenna connector. It's based on the silicon integrated DSP chip, the 473534, something like that. That is actually a full radio in a chip that has digital signal processing capabilities. It has features that are nice. It has, of course, its quirks and quarks because of it, but it's overall pretty cool. One of the things that's very nice is the selectable bandwidths, both on sideband and on AM, which is very nice. So when you're on AM mode in one of the bands, you can go to the bandwidth, and in the bandwidth you will have, of course, selections of 4K, 3K, 2.5, 2, 1.81 kilohertz, or back up to 6 kilohertz wide. That's very cool, because if you are stacked between two stations, very strong, very close in frequency, you can actually narrow the bandwidth to actually get these stations, which is very nice. On the drawback, because you actually lower or have a smaller bandwidth, you also clip some of the audio, because the smaller the bandwidth, the less information, audio information, is coming out of the signal, so it muffles the signal. But there's, of course, a way to adjust it just to the correct setting so that you actually get the most out of it. And it's nice that it has so many bandwidths. It doesn't happen very often on receivers. It is because it's DSP based on that chip that it can do that. And single sideband, you have selectable bandwidths also. So if I press the SSB button, and now it takes a few seconds to go to SSB mode, it eventually falls into SSB mode. And here I will have in the bandwidths 4, 3, 2.2, 1.2, and 1 kilohertz. I usually use the 2.2, which is pretty good for single sideband listening. It's nice to have a portable, I think it's the first portable radio actually that I have that has single sideband, that actually has selectable bandwidths for sideband, which is very, very nice, and it's very unique for the XHDATA D808. It adds greatly to the listening experience of single sideband signals. Audio quality, very good, good response. I was telling you the R108, I found that the audio was kind of muffled. Some people said, well, you're just not set right. Yeah, it's set right. Okay, don't tell me I didn't set it right. It has muffled audio. It is by design the way that they did it. And it is still quite good. I mean, the R108 is still quite good, even though the audio is not as frequency response as the XHDATA D808. It is still good, but this one has better audio. This one has better audio. With one drawback, I'll have the same complaint that I had on the R108. Audio is a little low, so when you go outside and it's a little noisy, you don't have a lot of audio out of this speaker. But it works well, and inside it'll be perfect. And of course, you can put a pair of headphones, which is always better anyways than listening. Medium wave is quite good, and one of the reasons, and I have actually seen an article on shortwavelistening.com where somebody has actually opened the radio and we see the insides. He was actually asking himself why medium wave was actually so good on the D808, and it has a longer ferrite loop antenna, so it actually adds to the sensitivity of the radio. The R108 has one, but it's smaller, and a lot of portable radios today have smaller loops. This one has a bigger loop that takes a bigger chunk of size inside the receiver. It adds to the AM-DX experience. Now, I haven't compared it because I'm going to compare it. You guys are going to see tons of videos comparing all of these radios with all the radios that I've got, so you could have a better idea. Shortwave reception is excellent. It's more sensitive than the R108 by RadioWow, which is basically the same company. XHDATA, RadioWow, they're the same thing. They come from the same place. But this one has more, it's more sensitive. So if you have a choice and you have the money for this one, get this one. Not only will you get a single sideband extra, you'll also get more sensitivity. It does rack in signals a little better. But it has a weird quirk where the AGC kind of, you know, when the signals get weak, there's kind of a weird effect on these signals. It's due to the DSP chip in here. Every radio that I've got that are based on the silicon integrated 4730X whatever chip all have that same weird quirk that when the signal gets weaker, it kind of just drops rather than really having this slight and nice curve of moving up and down. But still, it's an excellent radio, and it does the job really well. Tuning knob, excellent. Up-down button, of course, excellent. Keypad entry, this is a must on a radio. But you'll see, there's some negative stuff that I'm coming to at the end of the positive stuff and talking about it. Clock or temperature, like right now it's the temperature you see, 22°C, but if I change, I can actually change the display button. So here's alarm, here's the time, and here's the signal to noise ratio numbers for the signal strength, and we'll talk about this in a separate video. Very nice display, very beautiful display. That's RDS, radio data system in FM, which is nice. So you have the displayed information here. It is, like I said, you can get the lighting and leave the light on, which is very nice. And of course, to save battery, you can actually put it off to save some battery. Alarm and sleep functionalities. You can set this as an alarm for either beeps or to the radio. It has sleep functionality, so you can actually have it shut down after a certain time. If you're going to bed, it'll shut down automatically after a maximum of 120 minutes, 2 hours, which is very nice. Keypad beeps, but you can remove the beeps. As you notice, it didn't beep because I do remove the beeps. So if that annoys you or not. Antenna jack, really cool. Earphone jack with FM stereo. It has a lithium-ion battery, which is the 18650, and the 18650 is the what we got here as a kind of semi-standard battery, and it's nice, but there's a drawback, and I'll talk about it. I don't like the fact that they use these types of batteries. Sorry, I got distracted. I believe the tree next to me here has just a broken branch that fell down in the street because we're having an ice storm. Sorry. Fine tuning, which is amazingly cool on SSB, so you can have really fun, and it shows you here the fine tuning, and it's very, I don't know what's the increment, but I would say that it's maybe 10 Hertz increment at each step, which is kind of nice to have. Antenna jack, of course, nice to have. Good RDS, or radio data system capability on FM, where you see the information displayed from stations, which is nice. If I actually tune one right now, put myself in FM, and tune into for the local CBC. Here we go. You can see it says affairs at the bottom, which is the radio data system kicking in and showing information here on the FM band. FM is quite good. Stations that are difficult, like my station that I always check out is the VPR station in Vermont, which is always what I use as a test.
The victimized, oppresses the oppressed. So the worse off you are, the more marginalized you are.
So 107.9 coming in really well. So it is actually really good on the FM band. So really nice. Long wave, I can't really test because there's a lot of noise. Plus, we don't have a lot of stuff except non-directional beacons here in Canada. But it's a very nice radio overall. Now, the bad. What's bad? What I hate, some FM breakthrough on the shortwave bands. When I tune 41 meters, like I tune around 6, 7, 8 megahertz, I get some FM stations, local FM stations breaking through on the shortwave bands. That is the same problem on the Radio Wow R108 and on several DSP-based receivers. So if you have strong FM stations, be warned, that's a possibility that could happen on your radio. One that is probably the most annoying for me is that when you tune around on shortwave, so let me go to shortwave, unfortunately, there's, if I put the volume, so up down buttons, it actually has a little muting time instead of, if you tune fast, you can see that you're muting, which is not fun because if you're tuning at a certain speed trying to find stations, you might miss out on the stations because it mutes in between each frequencies it's tuning. That is probably the most annoying thing for me on this radio. Another annoying thing, the AJC is struggling very often. So if you're listening, and it is especially shows on the single sideband mode, where you have chuffing and you have this kind of rise in noise, and then it kind of for maybe a second kind of mutes a little bit, not mutes the audio, but if you're listening to a single sideband signal or an amateur radio signal, it actually sometimes will kind of block that reception a little bit. Then whoop, it comes back to normal. And it seems to be that when something appears, for example, if you have local interference, or you turn on a switch, and for an instant, while you're turning on, there was a little spark, it seems to trigger the AJC intensely in this radio. So sometimes you'll have these really weird moments where for quarter of a second, it's enough to notice, it's enough to be a little annoying on the single sideband listening. You'll have that AJC trigger, which is kind of a little annoying listening to single sideband, but that said, it still works well and it still does the job. Odd battery, I'll get the same messages because people always, you guys have left me some messages on the radio out saying, well, that battery isn't hard to find. It's not the question of a battery being hard to find or not. It uses an odd lithium-ion battery. And I'm sorry, I do not agree with with them using this on radios. Say what you want. I have my opinion on it. You guys have your opinion on it. I respect totally that. But you know what? That battery runs out and you got nothing to charge. Hey, I'm sorry, but you know what? You're not going to pop in AA batteries in here that are easy to find everywhere. That is my main complaint. Think about that radio being your essential radio. Being in the middle of nowhere, you're not going to get a 18650 at the corner store. You'll get AA batteries. That's why I complain about these batteries. I understand, and I mean, they are good, and I've used this radio I left it on for 12 hours just for testing purposes, listening to different signals, AM, FM, and so on. And that, after 12 hours, it was still running, and I mean, the battery lasts a long time. I would still rather have AA's. It's mostly for the purpose of being easy to find everywhere. And remember one thing, it might be easy for you to find a battery, but it might not be easy for somebody that starts in shortwave, gets this thing, and has no clue what the hell of a battery that is and where to get one. That's where I think. I think about how for regular, down-to-earth people, not the geeks like us, it might be a difficult task. That's mostly what I think. And that's why I still think radios should actually have a form of batteries that is the easiest. One little trick that somebody has mentioned, and that's true, you can buy yourself one of those power banks that you use to charge your cell phone and keep it with you and keep the wire for charging with the power bank, and you can use a power bank to recharge it if you want. That's actually a pretty good idea and will extend, but still, you know, I'd rather have down-to-earth batteries easy to find at a corner store. And, well, one last little annoying, the same annoyance that I have on the Radio R108. Why the hell do you have to press the frequency button to enter the frequency and repress the frequency button to actually confirm the frequency? Extra button press, that's absolutely useless. Why can't I just pop in the frequency and press frequency or enter and that's it? That's a minor complaint, but still. Why do you design it like that? I don't understand. Because you could just enter frequency and that'd be okay and just press enter, you know. So you got an extra keypad, key press if you want. Overall, if you're looking for your first shortwave receiver, I believe this is one of the best out there right now. If you're looking for something that's not too expensive, it'll run you $80 to $140 depending on where you'll get it and what market. For a long time, this radio was mostly a European market radio. It's starting to show up now in North American markets a lot more. So it's a great radio. It has a single sideband capability, which is very, very nice. It is a pleasure to tune around, except for that muting that's a little annoying, but it's a pleasure to tune single sideband with separate upper-lower sideband modes. That's pretty cute. There's a little delay on, you know, when you switch single sideband, it's like there's a second or two that nothing happens except these little arrows on the display say that I'm switching to single sideband mode, like it's a computer. But in reality, because of the silicon integrated chip, it is kind of a computer. So, you know, yes, it is kind of a computer if you want. So anyways, great sensitivity, flexible single sideband tuning, more flexible than any receiver. Most receivers I've seen. The separate bandwidths, just crazy nice to have. Very sensitive on AM. Great sound. I have a few quirks I told you about, but overall I still find this radio to be one of my favorites to use, and I do recommend the XHDATA D808 absolutely, even with the little quirks that I talked about. Battery, of course, is included, so this is, of course, really good, and I think this is a great starter radio if you're searching for something not too expensive, that's nice to tune, that's sensitive, that has single sideband. This has it all, and you'll have a lot of fun playing around with the radio. So that was my review of the XHDATA D808. Now, there'll be videos coming this week of comparing it to Texan PL680, DGen D1103, Radio Wow also, comparing it to the Texan PL380, and so on, even comparing Radio Wow and XHDATA together. So you'll have an idea with these tests also what to expect. If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and great radio. I think if you get this, you'll be happy. And you'll have a great shortwave and general coverage receiver. Bye-bye.